I've collected a list, just for this course, of the words that I see commonly misspelled and misused all the time in business writing. Let's go through a few of them. A lot of people confuse suppose and supposed to. Suppose is something that you do when you're thinking about something. I suppose this is going to happen. Supposed to is a phrase used to discuss something that you're supposed to do. I see people confuse this all the time. Another thing I see most people misspell is acquire. A lot of people tend to leave out the C, and it definitely looks wrong. Most people have a hard time with conscientious. Not only is it hard to say, but it's also difficult to spell. A lot of people also confuse this with the word conscious. Conscientious just means to be aware of something, whereas conscious means you're actually awake instead of sleeping or knocked out. Consensus is also a difficult word for people to handle because it's confused a lot with the word census. The census is in reference to, of course, the U.S. Census, which measures demographics of the U.S. population. Consensus is also spelled with a lot of S's, so it can be confusing. Discipline is another tough one. It's easy to forget the SC in there or to just put an S or a C, so don't forget the SC combination. Equipment can be confusing to spell as well. There's no T after the P in this, so make sure to just focus on equip and ment, not equipment. I come across this confusion a lot in emails. Gauge is usually spelled as gauge or even gouge, which actually means to poke something out. Ouch. That's definitely not the meaning we're going for. Remember that if you want to gauge the interest of something, you want to spell G-A-U-G-E. Harass and harassment is another one people have issues with. A lot of times people forget that there's only supposed to be one R because there's two S's. Remember that harass has one R and two S's at the end. Independent, I usually see spelled with an A. Independent shouldn't have any A's. It's all I and E. Independent, no A. Judgment is spelled without an E after the G. Even though the word judge has an E at the end, you remove that E when you create the word judgment. This is not the case in the UK, where you do keep the E in, but in American English, you should remove the E after the G. Liaison is another tough one because it has a lot of I's in there. I've actually misspelled this quite a few times, but I always double check to make sure that I have enough I's. Liaison should be spelled L-I-A-I-S-O-N. Don't leave out that second I. License is a tough one because it has a C and an S making the same sound, but it's not spelled with two S's. It's L-I-C-E-N-S-E. Occurrence has double consonants. A lot of times I see people leaving out one or the other. Two C's and two R's. Don't forget the double consonants. Both of the versions you see here of principle and principle are used for two totally different things. The first principle, with an E at the end, is used for principles of a business or a person, meaning their morals or their goals. Principal with an AL at the end is used usually for the principal of a school or somebody who's the premier or head person of an institution. Two totally different meanings, so try not to confuse those because it definitely makes things a lot more complicated in business.